ahead, Sam. Hello and welcome to Ivy Games Weekly. I am Austin Harrison and this is Zach Dixon.
Hello.
And we are joined by this screen of Veiled Fate that is supposed to be Jess.
Oh no.
Hi, Jess. They can't see you yet, but
you don't know what character I'm playing as. That's why I'm hiding.
Always
Very
teal.
mysterious.
Always teal. That is definitely it. If you don't know BoardgameGirl Jess, which she's now on the screen, so we can. Hi, Jess.
There we go.
Hello.
You should probably know her by now, just because, Jess, I think you might be the most varied, accomplished person we've ever had on the show, just because you've been, you have so many different things on your resume that like span so many different like disciplines. You have marketing, which you do for Ion Game Design, for Mighty Boards, for PSE, for Ape Games, some from Martin Wallace a little bit. Like that's just like so many big names. And then you also are a developer that did Lovelace and Babbage, and then you have your own show called Girl Stampede on Heavy Cardboard. That's like three very majorly different disciplines. So that's really cool, and we're really blessed to have you on the show. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
It is great to have you. We've met at least a few other times now, mostly for Veiled Fate promotion, but really good to have you here to talk about you instead of Veiled Fate, even though it was Veiled Fate on the screen when you joined the show. But
Bait and switch.
Yeah, bait and switch a little bit.
No.
But I just really, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank you for the Bernie meme that you added to our show. As the
So
thumbnail.
wonderful.
That came out, right?
Yeah, we changed the thumbnail to the whole YouTube video to that as soon as we got it. So very excited that you used your Photoshop skills to bless our stream once again.
Well, I have to shout out to Dice Tower Previews. Mark Street did that for me.
Oh,
No way,
Like, can
Mark.
you make this happen? And he's like, I got you.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Mark is a constant on IV Studios shows. He's amazing. We love him.
Yes.
Thanks for being here, Mark. I'm sure
Same.
you're going to watch this at some point, and I hope you appreciate the shout out. He got the coolest Captain America shield recently, and I want one of them. I don't know if you saw this on social media.
I did not.
It's like a life-size, huge
Yep.
Captain America shield. I definitely want one, but that's not what this show's about. Jess, thank you for coming on Ivy Games Weekly. As you know a little bit, it's a show where we talk about board games, obviously. And we would love to talk to you about how you got started, about what you're currently doing, and maybe some like marketing, because we both have done marketing for board games that are on Kickstarter or just in general. And then after that, we want to talk about some things that you're excited about, which normally we do a segment called Games We're Excited About, but we're shifting that to be games that Jess is excited about today. So
Because we got to know. We got to know.
Yes.
And
excitement.
I am now getting excited because I, of course, researched the ones that you picked out. So I'm pumped to talk about those more.
That was hard to do.
Yeah.
You made me pick three. I was like,
three.
here's 70. And you're like, okay, 3 of them.
I was like, okay, I don't have enough time to research all 7 or 70 games that you sent me. So we got to pick 3. I knew about a couple of them, but not many. So I'm excited to talk more about it. But first off, can you give us like a brief overview? Because like how you got into... I love how you got into the industry. I got a little bit of the story yesterday or the day before, but tell the audience if they don't know a little bit about how you got into the industry.
Sure. So I went to my first board game convention, and it was PAX East.
Nice.
Which is my home convention. It's right here in Boston. So I went with a friend, and I happened upon a game called Tesla versus Edison.
Nice.
And I was like, this game's made for me. I can't believe this exists. Like I'd been playing, my reintroduction to modern games was Imperial Struggle. And I've been playing a lot of group games with a friend of mine. And I didn't know about historical board games. And that's where I first learned about it, was at that PAX East. So I took that game home, played it, loved it. At the time, I was doing these little Instagram reviews where I kind of related the overview of the game to something else I might be passionate about, which my background is in English and psychology. So I might relate it to a movie, I might relate it to a book or an author or something like that. And so I did an overview of it, super psyched. And coincidentally, that same day, Artana Games launched a new Kickstarter, and their new Kickstarter was Tesla versus Edison Duel.
Perfect timing.
And yes, and I was a super backer already in my first month on Kickstarter. I tend to jump into things.
Mm-hmm.
So in my first month, I was already in there and a super backer.
I don't even think we got super backer our first month.
No, yeah.
We backed a lot of games, so that's incredible.
I didn't even know it was a thing. All of a sudden I got a badge and I was like, yes, I get a badge for this? For hemorrhaging money on these games? Yay.
That's incredible.
So yeah, so I was super psyched. I've never lost it, still a super backer. And so Duel came out and I joined the campaign immediately, was like one of the first backers. And I got it, I'm already in the comments section. I'm already giving them suggestions about how they could improve the Kickstarter page. I tend to be loud like that. Asking for new tiers for me because I was returning, backer, all of this. So I get all, I'm already active and known to them. And they do an update where they're like, hey, we need help at Gen Con that was coming up. And I'd only ever been to PAX East at that point. So I was like, yes, absolutely. I want to help it at Gen Con. And you were supposed to fill out this survey. So of course I filled out the survey with like this lengthy explanation of why I absolutely needed to be the person that they picked. But then I also looked up their phone number because I found out they were local to me, and I called them and left a voicemail. And then I found an email address for the CEO and I wrote him. And
you were not taking any chances.
No. Messenger, all of this.
There.
I'm like, I want to do this. I'm linking my review of TVE. And I'm like, I need to do this. This is super important. Let's get this done. So I finally get a response back, which was basically like, we've got all your messages, chill. We'll be in touch. And then we set up like a Zoom call. And within a couple of minutes of the Zoom call, they were, Marcus of Artana Games was like, absolutely, book it. Let's book the ticket right now. Come out and
Which
join
con
us.
was this?
This was Gen Con.
This was Gen Con. Okay.
Yes. So the first one I went to and worked was Gen Con, which
Nice.
that's something to jump into.
That's a big one. Yeah. My first Gen Con was overwhelming for sure. I had a prototype of Moonrakers that I was just carrying around like, do you want to play this game?
Want to play a game? That's totally me. I mean, I was known around town well before this as the person who would like see people walking my lake and I'd be like, oh, you have an Atari shirt on. You like board games. And they'd be like.
Oh, goodness. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to cut into your story a little bit because something that you said was about Tesla versus Edison and how you love historical games. Is that what drew your attention initially to Lovelace and Babbage? Because you were also, sorry, I'm jumping ahead in the story, but
no, go ahead.
You moved past working at cons and actually ended up working with Arcana. So,
yes.
And then you even did some sourcing and got into like taking pitches. So was that the historical background something that drew you to Lovelace and Babbage?
Well, it's definitely why I wanted to work with Artana. So, going to my first convention at Gen Con, of course, as you guys know, if you're running a booth at a convention, there's always one major catastrophe, one huge thing that goes wrong. And for Artana at that convention, half their shipment didn't arrive. And the company that had delivered it by a truck had decided that they couldn't turn around and go the 4 miles back to get the rest of the stuff for them and for Ninja, which was another company was there that didn't have their stock.
Man.
So I was like, I went over, my brother used to be a truck driver, jumped in and was like, who's the person in charge? Because they were trying to talk to the truck driver and the truck driver's like, I can't do anything.
What do you want me to do?
He's like, well, the owner of the company. Yeah, he's like, I can do nothing. And I'm like, I know you can't. Who's the owner of the company? And he goes, the owner of the company is so-and-so. And I'm like, no, who's in charge? And he's like, oh, well, that'd be Susan. She's the one who does like, the routes
Dispatch,
and stuff.
yeah.
And I was like, exactly. Dispatcher. And I was like, excellent. Thank you so much. What's Susan's number? So spoke to Susan. Everybody else is trying to call the company, talking to the guy. And I was like, nope. Spoke to Susan and Susan's like, I go, when's your next delivery due? And Susan's like, 2 days from now. And I said, so there's plenty of time for this truck to turn around and get the stuff and go. And Susan's like, absolutely. So I not only helped Artana, but everybody else whose stuff was on that truck.
Yeah, who needed their games.
Yes. So by the end of that con, and I'm leading into the answer to your question, but by the end of that convention, I had multiple job offers, like from, and Marcus is like, hey, I brought you here.
Yeah, I have dibs. Yeah, I was literally about to say, I think every team needs a Jess that can get on the phone with Susan and make stuff happen.
Yes.
But that's awesome.
Yes. White Ninja was they were pretty psyched. They were like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like this week, because it was all their stuff, everything. Like they had nothing. So there was a good result. And I was like, this is fun. I like solving problems. This is great. And so by the end of the convention, I'd solved that problem, a bunch of others, lots of job offers. But I'm looking at these companies and I'm like, okay, who do I want to work with? And truly who I wanted to work with was somebody making some historical games. Yeah. And that's why I started working with Artana. That's how Lovelace and Babbage came to be, because the pitch came from Scott Alms to Artana. And I had been also working with Maple Games, which was Daryl Andrews' company with Colossal Games for a while. And so he had recommended me to Scott, I believe. And so Scott had heard about me. He wanted me to develop it. He wanted Artana to produce it. So that was just sheer, like choosing the company that I truly wanted to work with, that made the games that I really wanted to work on.
Yeah, I love that.
That allowed me to come to that project.
I definitely get that. I love historical games too. And I like haven't played enough historical games. And
we lean really sci-fi, don't we?
We lean really sci-fi. Like my collection is like, there's like just a shelf of Star Wars, and then another shelf of my Star Wars starships from Armada and X-Wing. So like I definitely lean towards sci-fi. I definitely need to get more into historical.
You're going future. Yeah. Now you just need to go past.
All right. All right. I'm gonna try to design a historical board game.
I feel like you would be into history games.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, definitely like a seafaring game.
That's like, you give that vibe to me.
Thanks, man. It's the glasses.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
These are the fun things.
So you started taking pitches. You were working at cons. You were basically, as any person that gets into board games, suddenly wearing 18 different hats. How did you start getting into marketing? And then what was like your first I'm going to be doing marketing in the future kind of moment?
Oh gosh, that is a really good question. So, it started, marketing wasn't the plan. I did start as marketing director for Artana, but it quickly devolved into, okay, this is hitting manufacturing. Can you follow up with production? This needs to go to fulfillment, and we need to make sure all these things go to the right place. Can you follow up with that? Can you edit this rule book? Because we need to make sure that that's coming up. And so I started to really experience all of these things. And the great thing about that is I got to see what I enjoyed most. I can't say that I disliked any of it. I really enjoyed working with our manufacturer. They were super responsive, and they, shout out to Panda Manufacturing, because Joe Wiggins and some of the other folks there really took the time to help me learn what they needed. And they were really willing to do that.
Let's pause there for a second, because we get asked all the time, who is your manufacturer in Moonrakers, and who would you recommend for a first-time manufacturer? And we've only made, we're in the process of making our second game, only made one game to, fulfillment. Yeah. But we used Panda for both of them, and we can't talk highly enough about the experience.
Yeah, no, they're amazing.
Yeah, the person that runs our account, Steven, is so helpful and saved us from
it's across
so many
the board.
pitfalls.
Everyone there is so good. And the fact that with the first game that I worked on, we had a change to the rule book that was mandatory. There was a big error.
Yeah.
And getting in touch with them, and I had kind of helped other people with their rule books as well. I was starting to make friends in the industry, so I would help out here and there. I'm super willing to help people who ask if I can. So, and I had experience with other manufacturers who were like, nope, sorry, Joe, John's got that over here.
Yeah.
And so I can't do anything about that. And I'm like, John's 2 cubicles away from you.
Go talk to him.
Yell over to John and tell him to stop and put the paragraph in. But with Panda, I never got that. They were like,
we'll take care of it.
Okay, we will take care of it. We will find where that is in production and we will get it fixed. And we understand the importance of this. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they were always there for you. And when I didn't understand something, I'm always willing to learn too. So I'd be like, tell me how to get you these files the way you need them. Because I could see they were having to do a lot of work to change things.
Yep.
And I was like, if you're having to convert every file, tell me how to give you the right file. I don't want to make this harder. And they were like, you'll do that? And I'm like, yeah, just teach me. I'll do it. Yeah. And they totally were like, I mean, obviously it makes their job easier too, but they were smart enough to take that into consideration and say, lead a man to, or teach a man to fish or give him a fish, right? Absolutely would tell me and take the time. So.
Yeah, totally. All right. So we wanted to talk about Moonrakers as our normal topic. And wait, did I say Moonrakers?
Yeah, you said Moonrakers. I'm like, I didn't know we were talking about Moonrakers. But
I'll talk about Moonrakers. Yeah. I'm happy.
I heard of it.
My brain caught up 3 seconds later, and I was like, marketing, not
Did
Moonrakers.
I say that?
Marketing. Sorry. Okay.
This is your sleep talking. Just at night. It's like,
yeah.
I want to talk about Moonrakers.
This is it.
Yeah, you have kids, Jess. You know the sleep deprivation that comes with toddlers. All right.
Yep.
So marketing, not Moonrakers. We obviously you have tons of experience, more experience than we do, but we've gotten to market 2 games now and have seen some of the pitfalls and some of the things that work really well. But we get asked, and I'm sure you get asked, like, how do you go about this? Because it's so common that someone jumps in and they're like, hey, I have a Kickstarter coming up in 2 weeks. How do I market it? And I'm like, 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, I was also curious, is you've done marketing for quite a few different games. So I guess maybe first question for me is like, do you have like one specific process that you're kind of iterating on for every game, and you just kind of apply it to that, or do you switch it up?
These are such good questions.
Depending upon genre or weight, target audience, things like that. Is it a specific process or is it different depending upon the game?
So there's definitely like a core process that I use, an outline per se, right? But I think one of the biggest mistakes you can make is saying we had a successful Kickstarter campaign doing it this way, so that's the only way we're going to do these things going forward. No, because then you're stuck with Kickstarter pages that look like 2016 and people are going to notice.
Yeah.
This looks really old. I'm not sure that they've really kept up with the time. I'm going to back off and wait till it to come to retail. So you can't just stay stagnant. You really need to be keeping up with what the current trends are. And honestly, I've gotten to the point now where it's not about keeping up with the trends, but actually trying to make the trends and trying to predict, okay, this is where things seem to be headed. And seeing maybe new content creators or new things coming up like TikTok or whatever it is, trying to stay current on that and predict where things are going to go so that you can start utilizing those things beforehand. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that's part of the outline too, is basically I have this outline and then one section of that outline is what is going to be the hook for this one? What is going to be the thing that's different, that pushes the envelope or utilizes something maybe even from the past and brings it back into board games? Something that's really going to get people to pay attention. Because, here's the big secret, folks. People will tell you why they back Kickstarters.
Yep.
You can do surveys, and I've done tons on all the Kickstarters that I do. I love it when a publisher's like, should I turn on a survey? I'm like, yes. We need the data.
Yep.
Data is everything.
Yeah.
So grabbing all the information from folks of why did you back? Why did you cancel your pledge? Why did you not? Like everything good, bad, and ugly that they want to tell you, you need to hold on to. And these things will really help you going forward. But why do people back at Kickstarter? Well, first thing, trust. They have to trust you as a company. They have to trust that this game is going to get made, and they have to trust that it's going to get delivered, because this Kickstarter website that we're all using has no guarantees. And you can, although we're very lucky and it doesn't happen a tremendous amount with board games, it does happen that you will lose your pledge. And so trust is number one. They gotta believe in you. So there's brand recognition and just honoring commitments and making that something that people want to get behind. So that's one, is, and like, getting that going.
Yeah, that's hard for, obviously, if you're a first-time creator.
Yeah, first-time creator, that building trust is
so hard.
So challenging.
And a lot of that is like, I think some people do it really well. They do like video content where it's actually them talking and like building that rapport. But another thing is like you have to back other games.
Yeah.
If you launch a game and you're 0 created, 0 backed,
100%. That's, that I just had that conversation with a publisher today that was reaching out that I don't have time to help them, on a professional level or consult with, but I always happy to pick up a phone and say, hey, what do you got? And I was like, how many have you backed? And they were like, huh? On my personal account, I was like, no. On the business, on the page. You need to be in there. You need to be backing others. You need to be supporting others. That is really, really important. So yeah, showing that you're committed to this industry as well and not fly by night, jumping into things is super, super important.
Totally.
So that is trust, creating that rapport with people, but you can do that 2 weeks before. Probably not, but transparency and creating, this, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing. You can do that well in advance. So yeah.
Wait, one pickup question. Is there a board game community on TikTok? Like, do we need to be on TikTok right now? Is this we do? Okay.
The Board Games in a Minute is TikTok, right? That's Sarah. And there are others too.
1 Minute Board Games is another one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've seen that.
Danny Plays Games is on there. Right. Benita is on there doing, I love her TikToks. Her TikToks are fantastic. There's a lot of board game.
I don't know if we're young enough to do TikToks.
So. We gotta be. We gotta get into it, man.
I don't.
No, but you gotta do it a certain way. So look at Benita's channel, because she does it she does it like in our generation way. So you don't seem
so we don't seem like
the kids
we're trying
taking
too hard.
videos outside their car at a Sonic drive-in. Not that. Don't do that.
Okay. Do I do the dances or do I not do the dances?
No, don't do the dances. No, but Benita does a really great job highlighting things, and so, and watching for that. And then, Twitter comes up with its fleets, and there's all these things to utilize and continue utilizing.
No one's using the fleets on my feed though.
No one on my feed. For us, it's our big marketing pushes have been through Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram's our place for sure. But.
Yeah. That's definitely where we pushed for Veiled Fate. And who knows if it'll stay there for the next game, but
that's exactly a good point. Like monitoring these things and seeing where they are and where they're headed, right? So even content creators, I keep a list of people in media in who I'm going to use. That gets to your point about genre. Is this up their alley? Is this something they're going to want to play? Everybody knows Rahdo does not play, attacky games where it's hyper competitive. Don't send him that. That's a bad plan. Like do other games with Rahdo. Like, so you do need to think about genre and all of that. You also need to, and this is what I think some people may not think of enough, you need to think where content creators are. And I don't mean numbers. Of course, you're looking at numbers and all that, but they could be up and coming and there could be a benefit in that as well. What I'm talking about is think about their mental well-being. What are they experiencing right now? And if you're friends with them and you're seeing online that maybe they're going through a rough patch or they're taking a break, don't add more to their plate, right? So there's things, maybe I won't use them this time, but I'll just check in and see how people are going. There's a lot of managing relationships.
I was going to say, like, a big part of like your job is, number one, knowing what's hot in the industry, and then like managing relationships with the people that have the community's trust, and knowing where you need to get your game in the right hands and have a relationship where they'll actually take a look at it. And we have a really unique industry, and like there are some really great unbiased resources too, where it's like,
Yes.
there's a lot of paid promotion in our space, but they have the paid
Yes.
promotion marker down there. But I mean, I've seen some paid promotion that was pretty brutal. So
Yeah.
it happens. And I think a lot of like
And
the
it should
previews.
see,
yeah.
and I would argue it should.
Yeah.
See, and hand raised in the stuff that I do for media content, you know, that's me. I'm going
Yeah.
to say when something has a problem
Yeah.
for me. But that's important. And I actually tell all my previewers how important that is.
Yeah. And
So I'll be like, listen, I don't want you to just glowingly recommend this with no meat to this preview or to the review. I want to hear what's up with it. You know why? Because if this gets marketed to the wrong audience, all I'm doing is torching a potential evergreen. I'm going to make my BGG score tank because the wrong people are playing the game.
Yeah.
If I get people who hate two-player duels to get TVE duel, that's bad. I have failed.
to piggyback on that, like Rahdo said no to playing Moonrakers. He didn't think it would be a good fit for him. And I'm really glad that he knows that about himself and his audience, especially because we get ratings on Moonrakers on BGG, and it's like 1 out of 10. It had negotiation in it, and I hate negotiation. And I'm like, it was marketed as a negotiation game. So if you knew that about yourself, that doesn't seem like it's on us.
Right. But
like,
that's where but see, people are busy too.
Yeah.
And so I try to ensure I know what games they're going to like from, playing with them at conventions, from developing that personal relationship. And gosh, it seems like forever ago now, but I think it was 2019. I went to over 40 conventions in a year.
Wow.
And
wow, that's a lot.
That's so many.
It's a
Too
lot.
many?
It got
Too
to the
many.
point, a little bit. I had to take a break. It got to the point where it was like going home with seeing the strangers and going to conventions was home. Yes, exactly. I'm like, where's my family? I'm so confused. Yeah, so it was a lot. That included local conventions too and stuff, but it was a lot of conventions. But I saw these people every other week, right? So we got to know each other pretty well, and I got to know what games they like, and that really has helped me to choose that path to go into the marketing domain, because there's so much to do in this industry, and I know that we all have many hats and do overlap a lot, but it really is important to understand where your strengths are. And every time I take on a new contract and join up with a new company, it's a new company structure. And the first thing I say is, what do you like to do? What do you enjoy doing? And usually even the CEO will answer me like, I don't remember. I need to think about that. I do so much. And I'm like, all right, so let's try to focus our roles on what we all like, because that's going to make a better game if we're all sitting here having a blast, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, with all that conference experience, like, not to make you pick a favorite, but like, what's your favorite? No, like, what, like, if I guess I'll frame it this way, like, if you're a like early on and you don't have the resources to go to 40 conferences, what would you recommend to someone who's maybe launching their first or second Kickstarter?
So that was actually why I did what I did, going to all those conventions in a year.
Yeah.
And someday I'll have time to actually go edit all the videos I took and create an overview. The idea is to talk to people about what each convention offers.
Oh, nice.
And so I don't think there's a universal answer to that.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what you're looking for at the convention, and I can name a few. So at Origins, you're going to have more time to really meet with other media folk and develop that marketing type relationship. Have break-off rooms behind the scenes where you can go and talk to these media and see what their interests are, and if they're interested in working with you and what games they might like that you have in your catalog, both future and past, right? So that's the place where there's time to actually sit down with folks and talk, and take pitches and really see games. So there's one. Geekway was amazing for again, getting those pitches. They do a great speed dating room, and they do a contest where more developed designs are, and you go and look at them for a minute and then kind of vote. And then there's some sponsors that pick them up. And as fun as that was, as a publisher, so I missed out on one game that ended up going to a rival publisher, and I was like, darn you. Like, it was so good too. And they were like, I know, right? I know. And I'm like, that. So as much as I always say there's not a lot of competition, and we always do want each other to do well, that's probably the one area where we'll be like, I wanted to do that one. Like, why didn't I get it? But it's all well and good because the game's still getting made and there's other opportunities. So Geekway to the west is good for that. Also just a blast. They bring in an arcade that's like across the highway, so you can play. I mean, I'm always going to love that.
Oh, that's cool.
I love arcades.
Well, yeah, it's good. It's good. So that one's good for that. UK Games Expo is really good for going and seeing, again, new games that folks are creative. And these types of games aren't the ones that are kind of fully developed designs that you see at Geekway. These are out of the box, like, I remember seeing a dude and he was like, I like praying mantises, so I made a game about praying mantises.
Oh,
and wow. I was like, I want to know more about your game about praying mantises.
Yeah, I'm in.
That's a unique theme.
Yeah.
Please tell me more about this. This is great. And it was this whole game about a praying mantis family, and there was clearly a single mother for reasons. And like, it was
Oh no.
But like it was great, and I was like, oh, this game is so great. So and the science, right? So no, that's one to find really unique things if you're looking to maybe branch out in the type of games that you take.
That's cool.
And those folks are like just new to gaming. It's awesome. So each one has different spaces, and then for Gen Con, people always say, have to go to Gen Con. You have to be at Gen Con. I would argue against that, but it depends.
Okay.
So if you're a new publisher, you're going to end up in the alley at Gen Con. And it's going to be really hard to get people to come to the alley.
We're in the next alley. But I mean, that's fine.
Personally, I'd recommend don't do that. Find a bigger publisher that has a bigger space, that's paying crazy amount of dollars for their big space, and ask if you can have a table on the side.
Yeah,
nice.
And share. And now you're probably going to spend the same amount of money as you'd pay to be in the alley to help them with their expenses. Because believe me, as much as you're spending, they're spending way more.
Yeah.
But taking that, and they're going to like that, because now there's kind of this where you can say, hey, look for the big drum and that says Artana Games, and go over there. That's where we are, because you probably don't have a drum in the alley, all of that. So it becomes easier to find. And I think that partnership can really help you get further. So I always recommend that. And when I was at Artana, I always did that. We partnered with Genius Games. We partnered with Heavy Cardboard was in the booth at one time.
That's cool.
Nice. That's fun.
So we always found somebody to kind of come, and it's nice. It feels good, and the energy's higher if you do that. So that's my advice there. But if you're media, I don't know that you have to go to that one. It has a lot of coverage, and you might do better reaching out to publishers directly and then kind of live streaming through Gen Con, covering their titles, where folks who are using, that Gen Can't hashtag that the wonderful Suzanne Sheldon came up with, credit where it's due. That's her baby that she came up with. If they're doing that, then they can find more information about the game.
So question for us, for our benefit. So for Gen Con, do you have to start out in the Entrepreneur Alley to eventually buy your own floor space?
Yes.
Okay, so we might do both. we might keep our Entrepreneur Alley so that we can one day buy a bigger floor place.
Yes, if you can afford to do that, that's great. But yes, that is the con. You hit the nail on the head, and that's why a lot of people don't do what I just recommended, because they want to buy in
eventually,
and then move up and finally get their own booth. Another option that I've seen happen is if you can find another company that's doesn't have the resources, right, and you're both small, maybe you can split that little one and then stay together as you get bigger and just kind of, share the booth as you get, because it's expensive and it's really hard for even huge publishers with big releases at Gen Con to break even.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about, only breaking even, splitting the cost there
helps a lot.
Yeah,
that's good to know. That's good advice. Essence Spiel.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh God, it's the best thing ever. Have either of you been?
We have not. We wanted to go last year.
We bought a big booth because it was Moonrakers had just delivered, or would have just delivered, and Veiled Fate was going to be live on Kickstarter during it. And so our goal was have live plays there and be selling Moonrakers there.
It was going to be so great.
It was going to be great. And we're going to go to Germany, which I want to go back really badly. So
Essen is heaven. Essen Spiel is heaven. Essen the place, but don't worry, you're not going to get to see it.
Yeah.
So,
it's close to a lot of cool
Spiel
stuff.
is incredible. And gosh, I think it's been 3 or 4 years now.
They announced dates for this year. So
I will not give you this insight. I'm sorry. I like you guys a lot, but I am definitely not announcing the amazing boutique little hostel I stay in that I can ride a scooter over to Spiel and they give me breakfast, which is the only meal I tend to have time to eat. So and it's right down the street from a coffee shop that has a big bay window. And every time I go, they see me walking towards it and they get my coffee ready.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because they're
You're
like
hometown person at this point.
Well, yeah, because they know I'm coming. They're like, and I go to this place because we usually get there early because you need to adjust to the time zone difference or you're going to die.
Yep.
So we get there early. So I'm going 10 times a day before it even starts. Coffee. So yeah, I have 2 Nespressos. Like
we're running in tandem.
Yes, I need coffee. So they get to know me, and it's fantastic. So you will learn the ins and outs of it. But the first year you go, don't plan to get to it all. Understand how huge it is. If you think Gen Con is big,
that's what I've heard.
Gen Con is big. Incredible.
Oh man!
And then but even the floor, you know how the hallways are at Gen Con, and you can't move, and everybody's there. Multiply that by some ridiculous number, and that's the pathways.
I am so excited because assuming that COVID vaccinations come through for us, I think we will be there.
October.
I'm hopeful too. We had a booth space for last year. It got carried over to this year. We were part of Essen Spiel online this year.
You're like, this is good. This is good news.
We sponsored online, and I mean it's just hard to mimic the exposure that you would get at the in person. So
they tried their best.
They tried the best. They had some cool stuff.
Everybody
like the
was
and
trying
stuff.
this.
It was so hard. I actually think
it was a learning curve. And then as publishers, you have a different system to input your virtual booth in for every convention.
Yep.
And people, we don't have that expertise. Nobody had the expertise to even be doing it. And they're like, okay, I'll just make this image.
I'm going to give a shout out to Shut Up and Sit Down's conference. What was that called? All Shucks. That conference, the digital conference, was the best one we were a part of in the last year.
I'm glad it turned out. I wish that they had marketed it a little better beforehand because I didn't know how it was going to be. So I didn't utilize it for any of my contracts because I was like, I got no info.
We overnighted a game of Veiled Fate from the United States to London to make it happen. It was wild to try to get it there in time. But
it was very last minute.
It was, but it was the only one where it actually felt like browsing a conference because it had an endless scroll of the sponsor page and you could actually just discover new things just by going versus something like Essence Spiel where it was you had to look at a bunch of different grids and worlds and stuff and actually click on them. It was very hard to discover things as easily.
So you're killing me because I have some inside information. And I am so excited for where virtual conventions potentially could go.
Well, don't break your NDAs. I won't be
No,
accused.
it's nothing like that. It's that, I mentioned first the fact that all these publishers had to enter into all these different systems. So there's a company that's trying to
Unite all
come up
that?
with a service
That's
Cool.
that is like, Convention Shark, and you basically go and enter, and then you can use that
Sign
at
us
every
up.
convention if the convention signs up. And imagine the time you will save
Yeah,
Yep.
seriously.
if that is the case. And so that's one thing that are, and that's the thing. I love that always folks are looking for universally, like there's a problem. How do we solve this? Oh, I could create the service and this could help all the conventions. And then, right. And then here in Boston, we also have something called FIG, which is this convention where, people get to show different designs and stuff and really out of the box things. And so FIG just happened and they did it like a little video game. And I want everyone to do this.
Oh, that's fun.
That
And it
sounds super
was
cool.
like, I think like a dungeon crawl, right? So it looked, it had the gray little floor, little things. And then you walked around to the booth. You had a little character.
That's
and
sweet.
you walked up to the booth. And if other people walked up to the booth next to you, then you turn and then you could see each other.
Oh,
Your
wow.
cameras came up and you could have a conversation and
That's
be
really fun.
like,
That's neat.
yes, I met people. Like literally met people. And we were like, I'm like, have you heard of this game before? And they're like, no, I haven't. Have you? And I'm like, no, but I like this mechanism. Oh, I do too. And like literally,
That's
neat.
it's
That's
like
amazing.
standing outside the booth. And I was like, I didn't know how much I needed this.
That's incredible.
And then they would join you. So it was just like, you need booth staff that'll be like, hey, come play a game. Hey, how's your con going?
Yeah.
As you want. And they could do that. And they could see us talking and come over and kind of pause and just like almost raise a hand. And then we'd turn and look and they'd be like, so like,
yeah, that's incredible.
Great. It was awesome.
All right. We are starting to run low on time. So two things real fast to cover on just when we talked about our phone call, two things I really wanted to bring up. And that was for first-time creators, starting some kind of online community, whether it's a Facebook group or a Discord or something like that, is just so important to like funnel the people that are attracted to your game into like a community. And do you recommend Discord, or what are you mainly pushing people toward these days?
Right now, yes. I used to recommend the Facebook groups, and I didn't recommend necessarily keeping them all up, but then funneling people into one main Facebook group, because if you have tons of games coming out a year, it becomes too much to manage.
Yeah, it's impossible.
And then they just become stagnant. So kind of a method for utilizing Facebook groups I used to recommend. And now Discord is getting even better at what they offer. And so moving over to Discord is a thing that I also recommend, because then you can create those breakout rooms where people can be looking for a game and can have those face-to-face conversations like we were just talking about with, potentially is missing from virtual conventions. So getting that created so that you can reenact that for people and create that social element that really is the core of board games. So Discord for right now. Always going to be on the lookout for what's the next thing, where is that headed? But also people should realize that this is something, and we talked about this as well, that is going to ebb and flow. You're not necessarily, people use Discord for work too, and don't want 50 million channels. So they're likely going to leave your Discord. So you may get a peak of like 2,000 people in there. It may drop down when there's not an active campaign to 1,000. That's okay. Don't expect that it's going to maintain some astronomical level. Let it go up and down and just keep putting out those links and getting people to join up. And I definitely highly recommend Discord for that.
Nice. Jess, we have a question from the chat. And if you're in the chat and watching, please ask questions you have for Jess now. We'll get to them at the end. But the first one is, what KS campaign that you're not involved with are you most anticipating? And I'm going to go ahead and expand this to be something that's already been backed or something that's about to go live or is live now.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, gosh. So all these things are coming through my mind. I'm like, which one's the most?
I have,
So recent Kickstarters that were really, really good. So there's, you know what? I just backed one right now. I gotta go. I
While
have to
we've
go
been
look
streaming?
at it. No, literally like probably an hour before. But yeah, I mean, it could have happened. I wouldn't doubt me.
Yeah. While you're
in
looking it
regards
up,
to that.
I'm going to answer the question because
Yes.
I can, because I'm one of the hosts. It's Dead Reckoning. It's my number one. I've already said it on the show, but I'm very excited about it. I just love so much about it. It's got unique mechanics. Like there's like a whole ship that you can roll dice down. You know how I love ships.
You love them.
What do you think? Are you in for Frosthaven? Is that your biggest one, you think?
I mean,
I don't know. You still want to play Gloomhaven more, so maybe
well, I
not.
want to finish our Gloomhaven campaign.
It's
I want
hard
to
to
know what
do during your
happens. I
pandemic.
want to slay the
It's
dragon.
true.
I want
That's
to.
I mean, definitely.
Like I gotta.
And all the story branches
Yeah.
that
There's so
I
many.
did with that. So now, like Julie at Greenbrier Games did a story. Like all these
that's
folks
cool.
adding in their stories. Come
Yeah.
on, that's awesome.
And
That's
like
really neat.
I haven't even finished my first character in Gloomhaven.
Oh, yeah, you haven't prestiged
Granted,
it,
I
right,
got
that's cool.
like a pretty like hard to complete.
And like, what is it? The overarching goal quest?
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
That is hard.
But man, we used to play all the time, and then COVID.
We used to play every week or every other week. Oh man.
All right, I found mine.
All right, what is it?
It's Alba, an open world adventure book. That's the last one.
Okay, yeah, I
backed
saw this.
today.
Nice.
The art is amazing. I think the idea looks great. So let's see what it says. An innovative branching narrative game book set in a desolate post-apocalyptic world. How will your journey end? Like, I'm psyched.
That's awesome.
I was like, I'm in. I back you. This is fantastic. So yeah, that one looks really, really good. And I think they did a good job with the page too, conveying the feel of it, which I was impressed with because I don't think they have done tons. So, and it just has this honest feel, like they're excited. So it makes me excited.
Yeah, that's always good when a campaign feels like they feel really excited about the game.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I did forget about Frostpunk. Marshall brought that up. That
Nice.
Did we back that? We backed.
did. Oh, yeah, we
yeah.
did.
That was out at the same time as Veiled Fate, and I was very excited about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a really good job with that. I played the RTS and it was wonderful. It was
Yeah.
great. So, all right, games we're excited about. Jess Edition. You have several games, way too many to cover on our show today, that you are currently working on in
Don't know
some
how you do
form. Yeah, I'm drowning under the pressure of 1.5 because Moonrakers is already delivered, so a half. But
Maybe a little bit more.
oh well, okay, yeah, good point. I'm sorry, 3.5, 5,
Yeah.
10. I mean,
We got some stuff cooking, okay?
That's it. Yeah. There's always other stuff going on. It's so
Let
true.
me finish Veiled Fate. Okay. And for those of you watching, Veiled Fate has been submitted. All the files are in. We'll give that quick little update at the end. But
Sneak update.
sneak update. What are you currently working on that is getting close to either launching on Kickstarter or just launching in general that you're really excited about?
Well, I have less than 2 weeks, 12 days left.
Oh, shoot.
Until launching the Journey Home. So
Okay.
that's for Post-Human Saga. Great segue from Alba that I just recommended because
Nice.
it's also a post-apocalyptic world
Nice.
and it has a narrative overarching story. And the thing with Mighty Boards that I've been intrigued with since before I started working with them is their games combine a theme with the Euro that you wouldn't expect. So often
That's
people go in there and they're like, this is a Euro? Like
Ameri
it's-
Euro trash.
Yes, it's totally what they do. And it's actually phenomenal. So I love how unique it is because I'm always asking with the game, like, does this do something new? Does it add to the space? Like, what is it doing to bring more innovation into it? And that's what they're doing. So the Journey Home really adds in like more of some interplay between the characters because at first with the base game of Post-Human Saga, I mean, as would happen, you're kind of off on your own and you need to go and collect the supplies and fight the battles and compete with others until you find your place. So you secure your place at the fortress, which is where, you know, and I don't know how much you think about the zombie apocalypse, but I think about it a lot.
I used to think about it a lot.
I have plans. I
haven't
know where I'm
recently.
going to go to stay safe. Like, so, you know, you have the fortress, which is the place that they've converted to stay safe. So you've confirmed your place. But now in the Resistance, you had to go out into an outpost and kind of reestablish connections because if we're going to repopulate and regrow our world and survive the mutants, then we kind of need to reach out to others. So that was that. And now we've got the journey home. We're going back to the fortress. We're trying to really cement this narrative of this post-apocalyptic world.
That's awesome.
Brings in whole new mechanisms. And so what I like about it is usually in a narrative game, you're following a continuation of a story. And and you have branches off of it. I love that. I love the shiny. I'm the person in a D&D game that's going to be like, let's go over here. And the GM's like, why?
No!
What?
Why are we doing that? There's nothing there. There's a wall there. You can't go.
Yeah, they're like, will you turn around? Like, literally, that's me. And I stab everything on sight. Like, and they're like, we don't know he was bad.
I'm
like,
the GM that's like, I'm the GM's like, all right, what do you guys want to do? And they're like, there's no story hook. And I'm like, no. Oh goodness.
Some weird thing. And I used to stream. Oh gosh, we had some weird stuff happen. It was good.
I just hit saved and notify me on launch on Posthuman. That looks awesome. I didn't play the first one, but I mean.
But this is what I'm saying to you. So it's a narrative, but it's a Euro.
Yeah,
it's
that's
got
awesome.
all of it.
That's really cool.
And it changes. Every story changes. So and adds new mechanisms. So
Nice.
You're not just playing the same game. So I really like that. I like the work they put into it. So
that sounds really fun.
All right. What's next on the list?
So next on the list, I can't remember which ones I told you we were
all right, I'm going to do Roman roll then.
So we have Roman roll. Yes, gladiators. That one actually is next on the list. Yes.
Nice.
I have a question about this one. All right.
Yes.
So
have you played Roman roll?
I haven't, but I am dying to know, is the thing on his leg poison? Because it's green.
Green. It's totally green.
Okay.
Right?
I'm glad that this is an actual poignant question.
Maybe it is.
Oh.
We don't know. So Roman roll came out, and I was not involved when Roman roll came out from PSC Games, but it's a David Turtsy game, and I was like, all right, I'm in. What's up? And David's always willing to show me a new game, so I was like, all right, what is this? And so this is nothing like you'd expect. Because I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna roll dice in a Civ game. I don't understand. Like, what am I doing? No, this is huge. This is a Civ game, but it's
a Civ game.
Dice, yes, and so you're snake drafting these dice, and then you have to use them to build, and you have blueprints, and you have an overseer, and you have to move, and the buildings are certain like Tetris-y shapes, but they have certain restrictions, and so you have to be in the right place because it's adjacency to build another building, and so there's all these things that come into play. And for me, when I played this the first time, long time ago, what I felt was like, you cannot plan your moves
because of the snake
so
draft.
Much player interaction. Yeah, it's gonna change.
Can you lobby people to not take dice?
Maybe. You could be like, please don't do that. There are powers that you can get, because there's also god powers, so you can get these.
I know all about god powers.
And I love, yeah, exactly, right? And I love both Greek and Roman, mythology. So this is obviously Roman mythology. So in there, and Minerva and stuff. And so I love that aspect of it. So you can get those, and maybe that would allow you in the snake draft to get 2 dice instead of 1, and have it snake back around. So there's ways to get that as well.
Please tell me I can get the base game in both of these Kickstarters. Okay, cool.
Base
great.
Game
we'll
available.
Be there. We'll be there day one.
It's gonna be great.
Roman roll. I think Roman roll is more my speed. Just by hearing what you're saying about it. Not that I don't think the other one is going to be super interesting, and I'm very interested in playing it, but. This is also reminding me, I know it's not like this, but our chat is blowing up and wants to know what you think about Foundations of Rome. Because very different game, obviously, just hearing about the mechanics, but obviously Roman themed. And we've been playing that a lot on our Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love Foundations of Rome as well. Like you said, it's very different, but it's still completely up my alley for what I'm going to want to play. So yes, if you like Foundations of Rome, this is one to check out.
Nice.
I feel like all it takes to get Austin into a game is to say Civ, and
that's me.
He's there.
Well, me too. And one thing I'll insert is I had the absolute blessing to be able to meet Francis Tresham designer of Civilization before
Yeah.
Sid Meier.
Wow.
So, you know, the grandfather of our tech trees, like he created that. And
That's awesome.
18XX as well. Just an absolute amazing human being. And, you know, has since passed away, rest in peace. But he was a joy to meet and to talk to about Civ games. And yeah, I mean, Civ games are a backbone of what makes up the games that we now play.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. All right, we got one more on the list.
okay. One Card Wonder would have to be the other one. And this one's going to follow through. If you like Civ games as well,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
just what it sounds like. You have a wonder that you need to build, and you have this card that, you know, so you're going to be getting resources and building on your turn.
Is it
but it's
also-
going to be quick and punchy and just, you know, really to the point. So you want to play a Civ game, but you don't have time to play a Civ game. This is where you want to go with
Is
One
it-
Card
Is it
Wonder.
an engine builder? As you build wonders,
Yeah.
do you get... Okay, cool. That's what I was...
There's different things that you'll be able to retrieve. Yeah, which is Roman roll too, because when you have the buildings, then you're going to set off chain reactions of things that you can get. So there's all this planning that you can do for these big moves to make things happen, which I love.
You mentioned the time length. on
Yeah,
that
was
one.
it just like 15 minutes per person? Is that what
Yeah.
that? Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
and
a
I
dream.
like lunchtime games too. It's funny
Yeah.
because people will be like, "Oh, I thought you only liked heavy games." I'm like, "No,
No.
I do love history, science, heavy games, absolutely." But I don't always have time to play them.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not gonna be what I can play every single time. And plus,
Yeah.
I want to get one of the questions that I get asked the most is, "How do I get my friend, mother, brother, coworker to play games?" Right?
Oh, yeah.
And jumping, I'll absolutely argue the point that there's no entry level games. You can play anything with anyone if they have the time and the inclination.
I like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to let people learn a mechanism at a time. Like, we didn't learn everything at once. And if you break it down and start playing some of these smaller pieces of the overall whole,
Yeah.
then they can get to that point with you to play those bigger games and enjoy it because they can have that reference. And we all do it.
Yep.
We're all playing games saying, "Oh, this has some Puerto Rico bullshit in it over here. And this like has this in it." And this, like, we all reference other things to help us shortcut into learning a game. So if you want to help other people join that, you want to do something like that. And so these are some great options.
I love that. I also always tell people, don't teach with expansions, because expansions are great for you, but
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you teach with the expansion, it's just a whole nother
Learn
layer.
that
they
lesson
have
the
to
hard
learn.
way.
They're like, "But it's more fun." Yes, get there.
Yes.
It'll
Yeah,
be more
yeah,
fun
yeah.
for them next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to play it again after you played it the first time without the expansion. Hopefully they will too.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. It's so funny. All right, so a couple of things. Number one, what's your bird's name that's in the background?
The bird is Celeste.
Celeste.
So there's a little bit of a ode to Animal Crossing there.
Nice.
Okay, nice.
And nicknamed Tweety. And I just got her Wednesday night.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
yes,
it was like when we had the call, you're like, I just got a bird, and I was like,
I just
that
got a
was
bird.
not. I was not expecting the phone call to start this way, but this is awesome. So I
yes.
had to do a
and
call
if you
out.
want to follow along, she already has her own Twitter
Oh,
handle.
great.
As does, yes, Board Game Bird, as does my dog, Board Game Dog, as does my bearded dragon.
Wow.
I had no
Board Game
idea you
Dragon.
had this many pets, but
Yes.
that's good to know.
I didn't, and then COVID happened.
And
you
yeah,
go.
and
Now
then
I
you
have
needed a
to
job.
try.
You need more hobbies, obviously.
Yes. I needed to fill the time somehow, not travel, so
Yep.
Yeah.
so pets.
Our chat is asking, or just saying that they really enjoyed an interview with Edward and Tresham on Heavy Cardboard. So
That is where I got to tag along on that. That is
Nice.
where I met Francis and his wife. His wife is still with us and a pen pal of mine, though I haven't
Nice.
heard from her. Now I got to check in with her because
Yeah.
I'm like, I haven't heard from her in a while. But lovely, lovely people. And it was unbelievably the most wonderful trip ever. I'm so lucky.
that's awesome. Okay,
to
so if you're watching, go and watch that if you haven't seen it, because that sounds
Yes.
like a really cool thing to watch. Awesome.
It
All right.
really, really is.
Jess, where could people find you? I think they probably already know where you are, considering the number of people in our Discord that were like, Jess is coming on the show. And so they already know where to find you. But where could they find you on the internet if they didn't know?
Primarily at BoardgameGirl1 on Twitter. That's where I am most active. I'm also BoardgameGirl1 on Instagram and on BGG. I do have a Board Game Girl Facebook page as well, and post there. Repost is a lot of what I do there.
Right.
So all of those channels, as well as Girl Stampede, which is on the Heavy Cardboard channel, and it has its own little section there as well. So if you go to the Heavy Cardboard YouTube channel, you'll see all the episodes so far.
Great.
That'll be starting its second season soon, so you'll start to see
Awesome.
More folks joining me there as well. So
awesome.
yeah.
Incredible. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
It's
great to have
wonderful
you.
talking to you again, and hopefully this will be the first of many times. And I'm just really looking forward to going to Essenspiel and asking you where that coffee shop is.
we gotta find that. We gotta
all the
find that
things.
hotel.
We're going to have so much fun. We
right.
can just and I'll show you the back ways to get between the halls, which is what someone did for me the
to
first
save
time
you
I
from
went.
the press.
And you will be like, oh my gosh, because there's ways to get through and not have to go through the crowd.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll hook you up.
One more question from our
Sure.
chat. They have asked if you've taught Celeste to say glory to Rome yet. And I actually get that
yet.
reference. So
I'm trying every day. Every day I'm like, glory to Rome, glory to Rome. Yes, absolutely.
That's
She won't. That'll be her swear word, that's how we roll. Sparkles is my swear word. So
Nice.
that's amazing. All right. I think I promised a quick update on Veiled Fate.
Oh, yeah, get it.
So we are in the process of getting the pre-production copy, which is the copy that we check to make sure everything is good before we tell them to print it. They're mailing that to us, and it is coming during Chinese New Year, which is perfect timing because while that's being shipped to us, they're off for the Chinese New Year holiday. And so
Yep.
we'll be able to review that. You know all about this, Jess. We'll be able to review that. It's amazing that we got it in under the wire before Chinese New Year. We'll be able to
Yeah.
review that and have everything ready to go to jump into production when Chinese New Year ends.
Austin and Garrett working hard to
Garrett-
get it in there under the wire.
Garrett
So
is a saint.
Garrett,
He's one of our designers.
yeah.
Yeah.
So way to go. Everyone
well
has
done.
At
Garrett
All Right
and Austin
Studio.
to thank. Way to go, guys.
Oh, well,
Getting
thank
it
you.
in under the wire.
Garrett at All Right Studio did so many small edits for me, and I owe him so many steaks. So many steak
Steaks?
dinner.
Oh,
yeah, I was going to say
nice.
drinks, and
I
then I
don't know.
went to steaks for some reason,
don't
but whatever.
it got more expensive.
It got more expensive real fast. But yeah, really, really excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. And
Thank you for having me. It
talk
was
more
great
soon.
talking to you guys,
Yeah.
as usual.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye. We really need some outro music.